Hi, this is Julie from Patchworks. Welcome to the Patchworks classroom. I am so excited to finally be able to share with you my block for the Splendid Sampler. My block is called Friends Around the Square. I called this block Friends Around the Square because we're having triangles, making this block a square and a square, and I'm going to teach you a method to make half-square triangles. About 15 years ago at a quilt retreat, I was making this really fun quilt and had a lot of half-square triangles. I was painstakingly cutting out all these triangles and sewing triangles together into little squares. Now the squares turned out beautifully, but they were taking a little bit of time, and I had to deal with that bias edge. Somewhere along the weekend, my table mate, she didn't like what I was doing, and she screeched. She said, "Julie, what are you doing?" I said, "Well, I'm making half-square triangles, of course." And she said, "Now, Julie, don't you know there's an easier way? Haven't you ever heard of the quick quarter ruler?" Well, she taught me how to use the quick quarter ruler, and I'm going to teach you how to use it today. Thank you for joining me, and let's go take a look at our block. To get started, we need to cut out our fabric. We are going to cut two 3 7/8 inch squares that we're going to later cut into triangles and use around our block. And then we are going to pick 4 different fabrics, 2 lights and 2 darks, that we're going to cut into one 3 1/4 inch square from each. You are going to pair a light and a dark together to create 2 pairs. I like to work with the light on top. And then what we're going to do is we are going to mark our squares using a quick quarter ruler. The quick quarter ruler is available in 2 sizes. This size is the 8-inch long, and you can see it's a molded ruler. It has points on either side and a slot in the center. It's a 1/2 inch wide. I'm going to position the quick quarter ruler so that this point is perfectly positioned in the corner of my square, and this particular square is not the whole length of the ruler, so I'm able to see where the other point goes, and that's going to be revealed in the slot of the ruler. To make 2 half-square triangles from a square, I'm going to use my Soline ceramic lead pencil, and I am going to mark outside of the ruler. When I'm marking, I position my pen here so that it's angled in right next to the ruler. If I marked perpendicular to the ruler, my line would be too far away. So I want to make sure that my marking is right up there. I chose to use the pink lead. It doesn't show too well in this video. However, I do like the pink lead for its versatility on both light and dark fabric. The reason why I prefer the Soline ceramic lead pencil as my favorite marking utensil is that I feel that it does not damage my fabric, and it just stays and sits right on top of the surface. So it works really well, doesn't bleed through, and doesn't permanently damage anything. Now that I've marked my 2 pairs of squares, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to stitch on both lines, and then I'm going to cut down the center. Now that I have 4 half-square triangle units, I'm going to press them. I prefer to press mine open. If you prefer to press yours to one side, pressing to the dark side, by all means go ahead and do that. I just enjoy pressing them open for how flat everything lays. After you press them open, you do need to trim them down. The trim down size on this half-square triangle block is 2 5/8. 2 5/8 may seem like a very difficult, scary size, but remember, it's just a measurement. Whether it's 2 1/2 or 3 inches, no big deal, but this one happens to be 2 5/8. Go ahead and square all 4 of your half-square triangle units down to 2 5/8. Now that you've trimmed all of them down, we are going to position them together in a 4-patch after they are arranged so that you can see a little square here. Looks like a little bow tie. So you just position them as shown, stitch them together. Now we're going to have the fun part of making it a square and a square. We need to first we're going to cut those larger squares in half diagonally once. So it yields 4 triangles. We're going to position them around the square, just like this, okay? The block is starting to emerge. What we need to do now is we are going to start with opposite ends, putting these triangle units on, right sides together. This point aligns with the center seam and the edges hang off equally. What's really important to note is that on the first round, this is more than a 1/4 inch. We still are piecing it at a 1/4 inch, but what we need is this to be oversized how it is for the rest of our block to get together. So don't think that this is too big and try to square everything down or recut this. Just go ahead, center it as shown, and seam. You're going to piece on either side, press it, and then piece these two on. You do want to make sure to use your handy dandy pins as you're going along. Pin in the center and each side. After it's all together, you are going to have your beautiful square and a squared block, friends around the square.